Hello and welcome to Q2 with BQ. We are in conversation with the management of Syngene. It was a strong quarter for the company. Let's bring in Jonathan Hunt, the CEO of the company, to join us and talk about the earnings. Good afternoon, Jonathan. Thank you so much for speaking to Bloomberg Quint. First of all, can you give us more details in terms of the verticals, how much they grew in terms of your discovery services as well as your dedicated center verticals?
Yeah, happy to. And I sort of share your comment. I think it was a good quarter for us. Good progress on many of the strategic initiatives that we've got across the business, and I think a good performance from a financial point of view. Pretty much ended up where we expected to be, maybe a little bit ahead of where I thought we would be this quarter on the revenue line with 24% growth, but very happy to see that. Margins pretty much in line with our expectations. Not quite the margin growth that matches the revenue growth, but that was expected and pretty much reflects some of the investments that we're making across the business, principally in safety, quality, and sales and marketing, but very happy to make further comments on that. On the verticals themselves, I think what was particularly pleasing was that it was fairly broad-based in terms of the growth. I'd call out maybe the discovery services, that's discovery biology and discovery chemistry, as building good momentum, and I think they had a good quarter. But that's pretty much reflects what we've seen for the last 2 or 3 quarters from both of those areas. So happy to see that, and I think they look well positioned for the second half of the year. And then the other area that we saw some good performance is the dedicated centers. And I think the reason for that is if you go back over the last 2 or 3 quarters, you've seen us sign expansion agreements with 2 of our strategic clients, BMS and Baxter. They take a while to operationalize, and you're starting to now see that come into the P&L. So it took us a couple of quarters to build an expanded facility for BMS, and we inaugurated that this quarter. So that's now up and operational. And similarly, a little bit of staffing expansion on the Baxter side. So good performance across most bits of the business, and then the highlights were probably in chemistry, biology, and dedicated centers.
Okay, Jonathan, margins were dented slightly by higher staff costs this time around. Your other expenses also were much higher. Will we continue to see elevated staff costs going ahead? And what's the trajectory for the margins going ahead?
Yeah, I mean, actually, it's investment in staff costs, in hiring new people, bringing on new capabilities. For me, it's quite a healthy indicator in the business. There's a large proportion of what we do is FTE-based, and therefore, if you're seeing headcount growth, it's a pretty good indicator that we expect continued growth on revenue. So, we are bringing in new people. We've made 1 or 2 appointments at a leadership level during the quarter, but more broadly across the business, we continue to recruit. I think Syngene now, within India, is starting to become an employer of choice for talented young graduates, master's degrees, PhDs, and particularly those that have got a real passion for doing innovative science. So I think it's actually quite a good indicator. It's one that I think is healthy. The general level of cost control within the business is good, and where you're seeing the margins not grow at the same rate as revenue, it's a matter of choice. It reflects the strategy of the business. So we're investing quite a bit at the moment in enhancing our safety and quality systems, bringing in automation, improving some infrastructure, because we think that's one of the things that creates real value for our clients. It's a differentiator. We have some of the best facilities, I think, in the Asian region, and that allows us to deliver some of the best science in the region. So those 2 things go together.
Okay. Jonathan, can you give us more details on the client momentum going ahead? Any new clients that's lined up in the pipeline?
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk around it rather than give you specifics. We tend to update that on an annual basis, so at the half year, we're not there yet. But some nice momentum, I think. We continue to see broader engagement with clients in the US, both East Coast and West Coast. I think that's nicely balanced between pharma and also biotechnology. One of the things we're investing in is expanding our footprint in the US in terms of sales and marketing. So we've hired a few more people in the US, and of course that then allows us to just be that more visible and more active in those local scientific communities, and that's part of the plan. So that's one of the other reasons why you see the costs going through the margin line and not quite keeping pace with the revenue growth. But it's an investment for the long term, so quite happy with that. And we're doing the same thing in Europe as well, so seeing some good traction within the European region.
So what are the expansion plans for the company, and any Capex?
Yep, the Capex is quite an extensive program. We laid it out a couple of years ago, $200 million. We're over halfway through with that, so we've invested 118 million of that 200 million. Some of those things are completed projects. So the expansion of our biologics manufacturing facility here in Bangalore is completed. It's up and running and it's revenue generating. Same with the formulation center. That's a brand new state-of-the-art facility. Came online a couple of quarters ago. That's up and running and revenue generating. So the remainder of it, sort of the overhang for the rest of the Capex budget, is principally directed towards our API plant that we're building over in Bangalore. That's in the build state, so they're building and constructing, and that will run through another 12 months or so, I expect, before it's completed. But it's running to time, and I'm happy to say it's running to budget as well.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Thank you, Jonathan, for speaking to us, and all the best for the quarters going ahead.
Thank you.
Okay, that was the management of Syngene speaking to us about the second quarter numbers. But for more news and updates, stay tuned to Bloomberg Quint.